Today we're going to talk about the importance of writing a cover letter. For those of you that aren't even sure what a cover letter is, it may not be something that you've had to do yet. But when it comes to that real working world that you're going to get out into once you're all done with school, it might be a possibility. A lot of companies request not just a cover letter, but a resume, or they'll ask for a resume and then say that they want a cover letter to go along with that. Basically, the cover letter is the first impression that you're giving to a future employer. So we want to make sure that everything is perfect. So we're going to talk about the basics of what should be in a cover letter so that you're ready to write your own. So some of the basics for cover letter writing. It's a lot different than what we've been doing. We've been practicing all along with writing our essays, making sure that everything is double-spaced. But the first thing that you want to think about for the cover letter is that you're going to single-space the entire letter. There's no date that's actually needed because most of the times now things are being submitted online, and so a specific date is posted with it. So a date is not needed. There's no need to include a name and address of the contact person or the company. You'll know exactly who it's being addressed to, and we'll look at that in the example. Formal letters should always have a colon after the name of the person you are addressing in the letter, not a comma. A comma is only used in informal letters. So if you were writing maybe a letter to your dad and you said, "Dear Dad," that would be followed by a comma. However, if you are writing to anyone on a formal letter of any sort, then you would use the colon. You're going to leave a space between each paragraph. You're going to leave a space between your heading, that contact information, and the greeting, such as "Dear Mr. Roberts." Leave 3 spaces between your closing, such as "Sincerely" or "Sincerely yours," and the typed name. Align all paragraphs to the left of the page. Use standard margins for the cover letter, such as 1-inch margins on all sides of the document. This is the standard format in a new Word document, so you should be fine and shouldn't have to reset anything. A cover letter has 4 essential parts, those being the heading, the introduction, argument, and closing. In your heading, you want to include your contact information, which should include all: your name, address, phone number, and email address. They need to know every single way that they can contact you, and so that has to be listed in that information. Whenever possible, you should address your letter to a specific individual, the person in charge of interviewing and hiring, for example, like the hiring authority. If you cannot find out the name of the actual person that is hiring, then you may go to the default and address your letter to Human Resources, which is really common. Most companies do have a Human Resources, and those are that's the department that specifically hires. So you could put "Dear Human Resources." The introduction should include a salutation, such as "Dear Mr. Roberts" or "Dear Human Resources." If you are uncertain of your contact's gender, which this can happen, avoid using Mr. and Mrs. by simply using the person's full name. So "Dear Sean Smith." So Sean, in that example there, could be male or female, and if we have not met that person personally, we don't know for sure, and so we do not want to mix that up. The body of your introduction can be organized in many ways. However, it is important to include who you are, why you are writing, and then it can also state how you learned about the position and why you are interested in it. Most important is to briefly overview why your values and goals align with the organization and how you will help them. You should also touch on how you match the position requirements. So you should be looking at, whenever you're applying for a job, they'll usually give you a list of position requirements, or they might call it other name, responsibilities, skills, and that's how you're trying to match that up. In your argument, you should try to show your reader You possess the most important skills she or he is seeking. You're a good match, basically showing for the organization, the mission, the goals, and the job requirements that they have listed. You're trying to convince your reader that the company will benefit from hiring you. So how will you help them? Maintain an upbeat and personable tone. So don't get too cocky. Make sure that you're keeping that nice tone. Remember, tone can definitely set it the right or wrong way. So we want to make sure we're giving the right message. Avoid explaining your entire resume, but use your resume as a source of data to support your argument. The two documents should work together. So, if you are applying for a position where you do not need sales experience, but on your resume there is sales experience, then you will just not even talk about the sales experience part within your cover letter, unless it has something to do with the specific requirements that they're looking for. Your closing statements restates your main points and reveals what you plan to do after your readers have reviewed your resume and cover letter. It is recommended for you to do the following in your closing. Restate why you align with the organization's mission and goals. Restate why your skills match the position requirements and how your experience will help the organization. Include your phone number and email address, and then thank your readers for the consideration. If you follow all these steps, you will have the perfect cover letter. So now let's take a look at some examples of good and bad cover letters so you know exactly what to do and what to avoid.